I know what you're thinking. Look, it's the Pinterest fail version of Wolverine. Hi everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to Tread Talks, where I walk on this treadmill to stay in shape while making videos for you fine people. As far as we know, Logan is the last time that we'll see Hugh Jackman show up as Wolverine in the X-Men universe. And for all of the ups and downs of the series, one thing that's been consistently true is that he's thrown himself into this character in ways that few others have or will. And so I can't think of a better way, a better send-off for this character than what we see in Logan. The story takes place in the near future where Logan is taking care of an aging Charles Xavier as he tries to scrape up enough money for them to live out their final years. At the same time, there are people seeking his help on behalf of a mutant who's being hunted by the military. Now let me say right up front that you'll notice right away from the very first scene, from the very first moment, that this movie is embracing the fact that it's rated R. And to be honest, I think it's absolutely necessary. I can't imagine a PG-13 version of this film. And not just because its protagonist has razor-sharp claws that cut through flesh like butter. Although that is true, and it's nice to see it finally be portrayed realistically instead of in the bloodless manner of the previous movies. But it's also because the success of the movie depends on us empathizing with Logan and feeling the sheer weight of his existence and the toll that a lifetime of violence and loss has had on him, both mentally and physically. And doing that with a PG-13 rating would be like filming a gunfight but telling all the actors to just go pew, 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 pew. You could do it, but it just wouldn't be very believable. Now, one of the things the movie has going forward is that its core characters are portrayed by really fine actors, and it gives you an appreciation for the success of the casting of the original X-Men. They took a chance on Hugh Jackman when there were other more established actors available at the time, and what we've gotten from him is a performance that was originally effective 17 years ago, but that has now developed a level of depth and layers that you might almost be surprised by when you watch this film. And with Patrick Stewart, the original casting choice was a bit more obvious, but in this movie we get to see him play the character in ways that are new and that demand much more from his acting abilities than the reassuring calmness of the character in previous movies. But it's not just Xavier and Logan that we're following here. We also have Laura, played by Daphne Keane, and she's the mutant that's being hunted by the military. Now, with child actors, it's usually pretty black and white for me. They're either really effective or really annoying. But what a good casting choice here. I had no problems believing her backstory and that her reactions and growth were realistic and organic. And finally, the dynamic between these three characters is genuine and entertaining, and it's one of the reasons that the movie succeeds in getting us to care about what they're going through. Now, as far as the plot and the story are concerned, the movie moves at a good pace and it keeps its momentum all the way through. It ends up feeling like a lot shorter of a movie than it actually is. And on top of that, there were several points in the story where I was genuinely surprised by what came next, and so it wasn't overly predictable. And as far as the action sequences are concerned, the ones in the movie are creative, they're brutal, but most importantly, they feel organic to the story. And it's refreshing to have a superhero movie that doesn't culminate with a world-ending apocalyptic showdown with computer-generated scenes of mass destruction bombarding you every frame. It's more realistic, it's more focused, it's more down-to-earth, and we care more because it focuses on individuals that we've actually developed a relationship with. Now, despite all these strengths, the movie did fall short with me in a couple of ways. Not enough to make it a bad movie, but just some things that I noticed. To start with, the antagonists aren't terribly interesting. They come off as one-dimensional or shallow. In addition to that, you have a couple of instances where the main characters make uncharacteristically selfish choices that end up endangering innocent people. And I understand why they did that from a story perspective. There are a few things that they needed to accomplish, but it felt unrealistic in terms of following the basic motivations of the characters. In addition to that, there were some minor instances where things were just a bit too unrealistic. For example, you have some film footage that one of the supporting characters put together, and it looks like it was done by a professional instead of someone who was on the run and this was the last thing that they were trying to do. But if you're like me, or you're at least somewhat familiar with this franchise and this character, I suspect that you'll be touched by this film. For me, it happened gradually as the film wound down to its conclusion. I found myself reflecting not just on the arc of Logan in this 2-hour movie, but on everything that's happened over the last 17 years. And I couldn't help but feel very emotional for both the character and the actor and the journeys that they've been on. It's the kind of thing that can happen when someone throws themselves so completely into a character that their respective journeys become intertwined. And so I was heartened not just by the overall growth of the character, but by knowing that this was the culmination of a 17-year-long effort by Hugh Jackman as well. And so as the years go by and the old is laid to rest as it's replaced by the new, I'm happy to say that this was the swan song that both the character and the actor deserved. Okay, so that was Logan, and usually at this point in the video I ask you to pick between two upcoming releases to determine which one I'll review next. But every once in a while there's a big release where all the other movies get out of the way, and that seems to be what's happening next weekend with the release of the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast. So look forward to that. In the meantime, if you want to keep up with my videos, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 250 subscribers, and it would be great if you were a part of that group. Either way, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.